Hey,
What?
did you get them?
I may have distracted him with the kiss and snuck them out of his jacket.
My mortal.
Let's go. What's Sam researching now?
I think he's just cataloging books right now. Now this, Sandra, this is just the kind of relaxation we needed after the day we've had.
Oh, Karlee, we've got someone in the back seat again.
Oh, bloody hell. Oh, it's you. Sorry, I didn't see you there. Don't mind the demon blade.
All right. Well, you know Dean's house rules and baby. Driver picks the music, shotgun shuts his cakehole, and the ones in the back enjoy the ride, idling in the Impala. Hello, I'm Sandra, and welcome to a podcast by and for lovers of Supernatural and the fan fiction it inspires. On this episode of Idling in the Impala, we're doing a Q&A with my co-host Karlee. As the resident Sam girl, we talked about how she got into Supernatural and delve a little bit into her writing. We hope you enjoy.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do is I wanted to introduce you like formally as
That's cool.
AO3. You are Karlee Karma.
I am.
And I wanted to know pretty much when, like just briefly, but if we want to go off on a tangent, we can, when you started watching Supernatural and just like your basic, I think we've already gone through a lot of your thoughts on the show and characters, but when it was that you started reading Supernatural fan fiction, like if it was around the same time or if it happened later, and then some information about writing. And again, I know we're going to go into that deep dive at some point as to how we all started writing. And I think that was when you started getting back into writing, when we did that sort of collaboration on that one fiction for Perfect Day. But just like for people who aren't familiar with you and who may be listening, because who knows, we may have people listening to this.
I think what had happened was I'd been messing around with VPNs because Supernatural has been really, really spotty in the UK. Like it aired on UK TV channels, obviously a few months after it aired in the US, but it never stayed around like on demand or anything. And you couldn't find it on UK Netflix or Prime or anything. And I think what I'd done is I'd been messing around with a VPN to get me into American Netflix, started watching it on there. And then obviously because Netflix is constantly updating and changing to try and combat that kind of stuff,
right?
My VPN stopped working. So I was like, okay, cool. We'll just order the DVDs. Fine. So then I ordered the DVD. So I must have started watching it in 2017. I must have started watching it then because my youngest son was born in 2018 and my husband desk led me when I was like, hey, we could call him Sam, Dean, or Jared, or Jensen. He just vetoed all of them. He was like, I'm not doing that. So I must have been in.
You were in
like in the fandom by that point, because that we were like, we found out he was a boy at the very end of 2017, so it would have been early 18.
Okay,
we're debating boy names and things, and I was like, this is Sam, Dean, Sam, baby, Jared, Jensen, and he was like, no. So yeah, I started watching in 17, and it took me quite a long time to catch up. I didn't actually catch up to live until season 15. That was and even then that took me a while because I knew the COVID break was because like the COVID break came really quickly after it started airing, didn't it?
Yeah,
it started airing and then there was the COVID break. So I must have been waiting I don't like to watch TV shows one a week because I forget what happens.
Right.
I like to save up, 3 or 4 and then watch it all at once. So I might have been saving up a few episodes, and then the COVID thing happened, and I was like, well, I'm gonna have to wait ages for the finale now, so I'm not gonna watch anything until it gets later on. Okay. So I actually didn't catch up live until the second half of 15 started airing in the September.
Oh wow, that was right around the time I think when we started talking. Yeah, because I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that you had like been waiting. I guess I thought you had like had been through it. Okay, interesting.
I'd watched all the way up to 14, and right. I've watched the first 5 seasons quite a few times because I restart a lot. I'm like, I'm a rewatch Supernatural again.
It's easy. It's comforting. It's just something right?
And then I tend to get stuck in similar places. And then I go, oh, I'm done with that now. And then like 6 months down the line, I'm gonna restart Supernatural again. So I'm really well versed in like the first 4 or 5 seasons. And then anything after that, I tend to only have watched it once.
Oh goodness.
So yeah. But I came into the fandom, like the sort of AO3 fandom. I think I found AO3 in 19, just searching, because I know you'd mentioned Tumblr and stuff, and when I was younger, it was like there was fanfiction.net and then like adultfanfiction.net. So when I'd been like horrendously embarrassing, I was searching for Big Bang Theory stuff.
Oh wow, okay.
Not particularly because I find any of the characters from Big Bang Theory attractive.
Right.
Johnny Galecki, yes, but the character of Leonard, no. And like AFF was just dead, completely dead. So I'm Googling it, and I come to Archive of Our Own, and that had loads of stuff. So I was like, all right, cool. So I was like looking at that kind of stuff and tormenting my poor husband with that kind of stuff. And at the time, I was watching the Hannibal TV show.
My husband's actually watched that. He tells me I should watch it. I have not started yet. Okay.
You know when Rich comes up in the group chat, Richard Armitage, and you're like, oh, I don't know who that is. He's in Hannibal. He's only in the last season of Hannibal, but it's worth the wait.
Okay.
Man, it's fine.
Telling you, I like him, that North and South, that miniseries that I saw him on. Like that was, and realizing afterwards that he was in the Hobbit, trilogy. Yeah, no, did you look
at him in the Hobbit and go, oh no, I can see what Karlee's driving? Yeah. I knew you would. Honestly, however long the hair is, I want it longer. He doesn't wear his hair even remotely like it's a really like bog standard man cut. He doesn't wear his hair remotely long like lovely Jared. But yeah, so I was like in the Hannibal, like I'm not in the Hannibal fandom, but I was like watching Hannibal. And if I'm watching a TV show where I'm like, I wonder what you look like naked, I do tend to go and look for fics about it because I'm a filthy pervert. So Hannibal's got Hugh Dancy and Mads Mikkelsen in it, and I mean,
I remember you talking about Mikkelsen. Yes, I remember that.
That post Jensen made, like listening to Tool at 3 a.m. Oh, it's great. So yeah, I was just kind of looking around AO3 and stuff, and I remember thinking I must stay away from Supernatural stuff because the Supernatural fandom is legendary. Like on Tumblr, even if you're not in the fandom, the fandom itself is legendary on Tumblr. It's like very similar on Reddit. It's everywhere, and it's really clear that once you're in, you don't get out. It suckers you in and it holds you there. So I was like, I'm not gonna look, and I must have been in through a watch, or I was still catching up, and I was like, I'm not gonna read anything Supernatural because then I won't be able to watch the show because it'll be weird because I'll know what they look like naked and stuff like that, or I'll imagine what they look like naked. And I stuck with that. I stuck with that for quite a while, and then my conviction broke, and I dived into the fic world, and that would have been in either very late 2000, very late 19, or early 20.
You held out a lot longer than I did, because I mean, when I started watching in like early 2019 on Netflix, and then I think it was about October of 2019 for me, and I was like, when I started finding it, I was like, oh wow. I'm like, and for me, like, I didn't even know there was an adultfanfiction.net. You've opened up my eyes. I used fanfiction.net. I didn't know there's a literal adult fanfiction.net.
I believe it's .net. It could be it might be .org actually. I will have a look at that.
Okay.
Because that was what I used to use when I was when I was too young to be Googling that kind of stuff. Back in our Harry Potter days, when we were all like, "Oh, Harry Potter fanfiction was the bee's knees."
Yes. Now, did you write any fanfiction before Supernatural fanfiction, or was that like your first?
I did.
Fiction? Okay.
I did. It's adultfanfiction.org with a hyphen between adult and fanfiction. Any listeners who want to check it out, the site's dead in the water, but go look anyway. There's still some good stuff on there. You can still find good stuff, but it's not active.
Right.
I would say like AO3 is the active fanfic community now.
And they keep absorbing all these other sites, which I always see like on the like the main page, like we're taking on all of these fictions from all this, and I'm like, oh, this is great. Yeah. I love the archive aspect of it. I think it's great. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I live in fear of logging in and they're gonna announce to the site that they've acquired the site that I used to use, and I'm gonna be like, oh no, all my cringy stuff's gonna be back on the internet for people to find. I'm in this community. Oh no. But no, I used to write when I was still in high school, like band fan fiction. So My Chemical Romance, Avenged Sevenfold, stuff like that.
Okay.
Cringy enough that I haven't gone back and read any of it. But at the time,
I have same.
At the time, it did do quite popular.
Good.
By the metrics of the time. And by the time I'd sort of stopped with it, I would have been like 19 and pregnant with my oldest boy. Okay. And that was kind of the time that I'd left it alone, and I'd gone from writing like reader insert stuff to one shot stuff between various characters, so no real reader insert stuff at all. And that was kind of where I'd left that. And then I came, like all those many moons later, came through to AO3 looking through the Supernatural fandom, found this fic, Rookie in Training, Hunter in Training, the Rookie, and I was like, yeah, all right. So I read that and I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. And at the time, I wasn't commenting on fics.
Right.
I was like kudos and stuff, but I wasn't commenting on stuff. So when I found that, I think Dee had, I think she had the Rookie and maybe Tulsa up.
Okay.
And then she had a couple of one shots up, like Radar Love was up. But I remember, because at the end of the last full work that she'd published, there was one chapter left, and she was like, the next chapter is going to be like a preview of the next thing I'm working on. Don't read it if you can't handle a wait, because I'm not done yet. I remember thinking, I've got like 2 or 3 works left. This must be old. She must have finished this by now. Click through and realize that the next things in the series on AO3 were the one shots. So I had to wait for her to upload Home. I'm sure it was Home. I will have to double check that. I'm sure it was Home. But when she started uploading that, I started leaving comments on the work as it was being uploaded. And that kind of just spiraled from there into, like comment threads, conversations. And then obviously, hey, I've got Twitter. Do you do Twitter? Moving over to Twitter. And then, I've got this thing, I'm going to get Sandra in, because I've seen you around the comments as well. sort of mirroring some of my opinions, and you were much more Dean focused, and I was like, there's not enough Sam love in this. You give my boy some love, stop putting him through hell. Because she's mean to him in some of them. She's mean. Especially, I'm like,
I know that little that little tease of a triangle, like the possibility of that, like, like being a thing. And then like you gotta feel for the man. Like he was on the sidelines a lot. And he's just like, he was there, he was available, he was ready.
And then she, like, obviously we're not gonna spoil, and we're gonna get her to come and talk it through with us. But that I just wanted, like, it's good to know what it feels like on the other side of the wall, on the other side of the door. That killed me. I was like, you stop being mean to my baby. You stop that right now. Stop it. Because she put him through hell. It was mean. But yeah, that kind of spiraled. So
at least it wasn't literal hell like he's actually been through before. So I mean, figuratively, but yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that was that kind of put me in touch with her, and then me in touch with you through that. And then we did our collab, which obviously we'll talk about when we wrangle some time travel equipment and make it so we're all reasonably on the same time. But yeah, that came to that collab, and I was so nervous because I didn't know you as well.
I didn't either. It was I was very like, because it's different, like, working with or throwing ideas off of like D, and then she was like, okay, and there's Karlee. I'm like, oh Karlee.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, oh gosh, this might be scary. I don't know how this is gonna go. And I think we kind of just, once we started clicking like with ideas and stuff, it just kind of like it flowed, and it felt very, very natural.
Yeah.
Like I felt safe to just kind of like express and, get a chance to do what I wanted to do with my part based off of what I think it had been D first. And then I think you had done. And it was nice to see the different parts that each person played in that, it was great. I love that. That's, I think, why I would love it if we had time to do more, and I know we're trying, but it's like start, stop.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So this was the first time in a while you had written anything.
Yeah, it was. And I remember going back and forth with Dee on Google Docs, and she was like, it's great, I love it, it's fabulous, and like this is really good and that's really good, and like imposter syndrome's rearing its head, like she's lying, it's terrible. It was actually, it felt so good to like write again. And I was like, going back to the show, I was a Sam girl from the off, because I'd seen pictures of Jared and Jensen, like recent pictures before I started the season. So it was like, oh, where's his hair? Oh, that's weird. But I knew it was coming. I knew there was good hair was down the line
on the horizon.
If I could make it through this first season of terrible hair, it was coming. So, but I've been a Sam girl forever, and I'm not gonna lie, it's like 60% my hair. Like that's a major feature. I don't know if you picked up on it, but hair's important,
just a little bit.
Yeah.
That and the height and the hands. I remember that's the thing. The hair, height, hands. So all the H's that I can like come to mind. I think it's got your focus, I think.
Yep. I mean, Jensen had it in the height as well. He's over 6 foot. I'm not picky. It's just got to be over 6 foot. I can't like Genevieve Padalecki. She could be dating like a 5'8" man,
and she'd be good.
She'd be fine. But yeah, Jensen Dean, he had the height, but it was the hair. Yeah, because Jensen's got the hands as well. So it was the hair. It was the hair that sealed it for me. And I just kind of like this kind of, the kind of like the dynamic they had, like the big brother, little brother kind of thing. And then, because I wasn't watching live, because I was able to like bomb through the first 3 seasons really quickly. And like, sort of the plot line that they give to Sam in the early seasons of being tainted by yellow eyes and that whole kind of arc, and he was really like not feeling good enough and not you know, we've talked about it recently, that scene where he's telling Dean that he doesn't feel pure and he doesn't feel clean.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there was quite a few scenes like that. The scene by the cow and he's like, I'm a freak, and stuff like that. And it really resonated with me. I was not very well mentally in 2017. And it really spoke to me. And I really got it. You know, I was in with him and his storyline. And then obviously that kind of dies out after season. Well, it doesn't die out, but it dies down after season 2. And then you've got the whole ending of season 2 and Dean and selling his soul and stuff. And you come through to season 3 and it's more personality wise, you know, you see them riffing off each other and Sam's rolling his eyes in the car while Dean's doing the dirty in the motels and stuff. And, you know, Dean just like using that, oh, I'm dying, I've only got so long left kind of thing. And, you know,
really milking it. Yeah.
And that really kind of like drew me in. I really was like in for that. So coming to Perfect Day, and that was in 2020, wasn't it? September 2020. So I was still behind at that point. I know I was still behind at that point.
Okay.
Maybe by a couple of seasons.
Wow, so you really caught up though. Like when it was getting ready to air again, you went through them.
So yeah, coming to that and being able to sort of because the collab Perfect Day, it's really different to anything I'd written before, and I'd say anything I've written since. You know, and it stands like against yours and Dee's as being first person versus third as well. And it felt really, really good to just get back into that kind of mode and like, you know, to be a horrendously flowery and cliche, you know, make pictures with words and things. And I think that sort of the way that Dee had set it up, she'd not put a timeline on it of where it stood in. I mean, it didn't stand in canon, did it? But if it had, where it would have stood. So it was really easy to think, you know, it was like season 1, season 2, Sam, who's feeling really unclean and unpure, and I still resonated with that. And it was just really nice to be able to kind of work through a little bit of that on my end as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then sort of have this, I left my ending a bit open, like you know what happens to one person but maybe not the other person. And then
and then you guys left it up to me.
We were like, Sandra, finish this off, girl. So yeah, that I think that kind of like lit a little bit of a fire. And
I would say a burning
fire
that still smolders and like whips itself up on occasion and like could burn a house down.
honestly I think if Supernatural had started in like 2015 instead of 2005 and we were still in the thick of it now and it was still airing, oh my god, I'll be unstoppable. Because it's been a year since the finale, so there's very few, like you probably experienced this yourself, there's very few pictures that you haven't seen or clips that you haven't seen, you know, especially in character. Like there's always new Jared and Jensen stuff. Well, not so much Jensen because he's rude, but Jared's usually available to make a fool of himself and post it on the internet. But character wise, there's very little that you've seen, you haven't seen, or you haven't heard, or you know, hasn't been analyzed by somebody. So you come in like working backwards, and like every so often you'll see a picture that'll make you go, yeah, that though. But they're not as common now. Whereas I think if we were still in the thick of it and the show was still airing and we were watching scenes and stuff, like where would we be now? season 5, season 6. Oh God, we'd be season 6 solo Sam. Oh my God, I would be a puddle.
On fire. Yes,
I would be a
what
puddle.
to do with yourself on that one.
Oh, there would be a fic a week. I tell you, there really would. So yeah, we've come a long way in a year. So that went up in September of 2020, and then I was kind of like messing around, like, you know, and I just had this idea of like, hey, what if, because obviously the show's American, it's set in America, the actors are American, we don't tend to get really good stuff like that over here. You know, because you guys keep all the attractive actors to yourself. Richard Armitage and Tom Hiddleston notwithstanding, you can't have them, we've copyrighted them. You can have Tom Hardy though, I'm not a fan.
Well, when you start to clone them, you know, we'll be able to do something with that.
No, and we're keeping. Look, you have all the hot guys, right? No, you're not having those ones. We're keeping them. I'm keeping Martin Freeman as well. I like him. But I just like, you know, you write what's familiar, don't you? You write what you know. And what I know is like what I kind of want. Maybe like retirement plans or something. It's not something that I'd want now because I think my children would drive me insane.
Yeah.
But like I've always really been in love with like that sort of picturesque biscuit tin English village.
Yeah.
You know, and there's like cold streets and just little cottages and stuff, and it's set in the middle of nowhere and it's nice. And I'd always been in love with that, and I was like, oh, hey, what would it be like if I put Sam there? I think Sam would really like that. So that kind of jumped into the next thing I wrote after our collab, which you can find on AO3. It's A Rainy Night by the Fire, and it's under the series English Cottage Verse, but you can find it on my profile as well, obviously.
Yes.
But yeah, that was just kind of just rampant hair kink.
Yeah, no, I loved it. Like he was like out of the shower, right? And it was like running fingers, like, you know, taking care of his hair, and then like one thing to another. I think there's a rug involved, if I'm not mistaken.
There is. There's an open fire and a rug, and it was like I remember writing it, and I've had this potentially another imposter syndrome, you know, little symptom where rearing its head there. But I remember writing it, and I write my female characters the way that I talk, which, I mean, over these last couple of hours on Zoom, you've probably picked up on. You've probably been listening to me going, oh yeah, no, that's where that comes from. I can, like, again, it's write what you know, isn't it?
Yes.
So
yes.
I write what I know, which is a sarcastic Brit. So we're opening up Rainy Night by the Fire with, you know, sort of the female lead's internal monologue of like, oh, why does he keep going out and then coming home and complaining that he's wet? It's England. What does he expect? It rains all the time here. And that's kind of where that fic opens, and then it, you know, it goes into like a little bit of fluff. You know, looking after him, Sam comes, we brush my hair, which is at the time of writing that my husband didn't have long hair.
Okay.
But I still had long hair, and I would do that to him. I would come with a hairbrush and be like, brush hair, please, because it feels really good. It feels really nice. And I remember thinking, oh, I want to do that for Sam. I want to
see, that's lovely. I love that. It's like, I think it's sometimes it's just about, what do you want to do for your character? You know, what do you want to do to make them, that you know makes you feel good, that you think would make them feel good. And you do a really nice job with, you were saying pictures into, you know, words into pictures, and it just, I remember just like feeling, you just felt warm and cozy, and, you know, then you felt a lot warmer.
But it goes quite quickly from fluff to fairly explicit. Yeah, for obviously anybody out there who's listening, my works also trend very heavily on explicit. You will find a couple of things in there that are general, which have been written for very specific circumstances. There's a couple in there that are mature, but most of them are fairly explicit. Very explicit. Don't read them at work. They're explicit. You know, So yeah, it goes nice, it goes to fluff, and it goes to aggressive smut. And then it kind of rounds off just like softly and nicely. And again, that was another one that was a Google Doc that was going back and forth between me and Dee, with me going, oh God, it's dreadful. And her going, it's not, it's great. I promise you it's great. So I just wrote that, and that was just intended to just be just a one-shot little thing, hey, what if Sam Winchester lived in a little picturesque little cottage in England? And at that point, I didn't have any idea like where that cottage might be or anything else. I have like, when I think about it, I have a rough idea of what the rooms look like, but I couldn't draw you a layout of the house or anything. It
just to me feels like very compact and cozy. Like, like you have just like kind of like one little spot and then another, and then you kind of like go around a corner, and I'm just imagining the bed. The bed's a big focus, I think, in the cottage. Is it see, in my mind, I always want to think 4-poster. I just do that.
It is. It is. The next thing I wrote actually, I have to embarrassingly look up the titles of my own works. But the next thing I wrote, I definitely did, like, I was like, people want to picture the bed, because Night by the Fire didn't take place in the bedroom, and I think we all know, soft rug in front of an open fireplace, flames, it's romantic, but a bed's a bed and you want to know what it looks like. So I did definitely just have to scroll down. It was called Leave the Cold Outside, that one. And I definitely did be like, Sam insisted we buy this ginormous 4-poster bed, and it was obscene, and again, that sort of sarcastic Brit of, we don't even need a bed like this, what the hell, but secretly really loving the bed and just not ever telling him. So yeah, it's a big 4-poster bed, and they've maybe not got drapes all the way around it, maybe just on the headboard.
Okay.
Because I never imagine, like, if I write anybody getting out of bed, I never imagine that they're dealing with like medieval drapes. So maybe not drapes all the way around, maybe just drapes on the headboard. So that one, again, that was just another like, I wonder what would happen in this situation. And that one's probably the first where you see like a tiny bit of like dominant Sam. Like, he's never like an actual dom in anything that I write, but he takes charge more than the female lead does.
Right.
And that's kind of the first one that really comes into it, because the sort of premise of that fic is, having had a really bad day and it being, dreadful, and him coming home and sort of taking you to bed and sorting you out, basically. there's no polite way to put that. He's gonna take
but you make it sound polite, sorting it out. I love that. I mean, it's like
sorting you out. Yeah. So by that point, English cottage was starting to become a thing. That was starting to be a thing in my head. That was like, when I'm watching Supernatural and all bad things are happening to the boys, and I'm like, it's okay, man. It's okay. He's in my little cottage in England.
He's gonna have some time. He's gonna be okay.
He's a safe baby. He's a safe baby in my little cottage. And that was probably around the time that I started thinking about, whereabouts this cottage might be. And yeah, like what it might look like inside, and what like the street would look like, and things like that. But I deliberately keep it vague, because I'm very aware that a lot of the readers on AO3 probably are American. So if I throw in too many British references, they're going to be like, what? I don't know what that means. I don't know. Like, if you ask me to tell you as an American what the inside of an American bar looks like, I have no idea. I don't know.
We just basically copy everything else that other people do.
But like, I could be like, oh, it's an English pub, and I know what that looks like and what that smells like and what, like, I'm very familiar with that. But if I write an English pub, I'm either going to have to describe it in graphic detail to give people the impression that I want them to have, or just, you know, kind of leave it vague.
So I know you and Dee like that aspect of it too a lot, like giving the reader, you know, the chance to kind of like fill in the blanks, you know, so to speak, with like the different scenes and stuff. Yeah,
I think, because I think you can go too heavy on your descriptions and then it turns into like reading Stephen King or Tolkien or something, and your reader's bored. I'm bored if I'm reading that. So I just kind of go, oh, it's a pub or a bar, depending, because I do switch back and forth on like Britisms versus Americanisms.
Yeah.
Because I do try and make it accessible, but there are some things I can't change. Well, trainers are never going to be sneakers. I'm never going to write sneakers. They're always going to be trainers.
I think it's interesting when you write when they first met, Reader and Sam, and it's in America and it's in a bar. I get a totally different feel of, like, you know, I get a very like contemporary slick, like, you know, the lights and the, like, it's just a big, and, you know, bodies and stuff, where I imagine, you know, a pub a little more intimate in a way that it can have, where, you know, an American place for people to be, dance club, bar, whatever, is very like, you know, just bodies and lights and music, and it's a different vibe. You know, it's very much there's a lot of sensory stuff coming at you that I don't think you get the sensory, say, in a pub, but it's low key,
not the same.
It lets it kind of waft itself over to you. It doesn't just assault you with like everything.
I'll be honest, I don't know if America has like a true equivalent of an English pub, because it's not like a bar is where you're going if you're going for a drink. That's if you're going out drinking, you're having a night out, a partner, friends, family, whatever. That's your goal, is to get drunk and stumble home in a cab. Taxi's one. I can change taxi to cab. Trainers ain't ever going to be sneakers. Pavement's never going to be a sidewalk either. Don't come to my fix if you want full Americanisms, because you won't get them. They'll get some bastard hybrid. Oh no, we're going to have to put the horn noise in now. But like, so like what I consider to be an American bar would be a British and English nightclub, where it's, you know, it's loud and it's like a dance floor, and again, very sort of sleek, very contemporary, and it's, you know, lights and it's really loud. It's not somewhere that you go and have a chat. A pub, you can go and have a chat. You know, meeting your friends down the pub can be anything from pre-drinks, where you go and you end up in a club or a bar, or it can just be you're just going to go and have a couple of pints and, you know, maybe play a game of pool with your friends, and you're just going to hang out. It's a really different vibe, a different atmosphere. British pubs tend to be the space you find elderly men. That's kind of the drinking culture that we have over here. You know, men go to the pub, you know. Women might have like luncheons with their girlfriends and stuff. Men go to the pub. You go to the pub and you have a few pints and you come home. So
I think there's similar equivalents here. I don't think they don't seem as charming. At least, again, it's you know, greener, you know, that it looks a lot different on the outside, you know, than being like in it. But I give it a little more of a romantic bent to it, I guess.
That's the thing. It's really like, obviously you get a lot of pubs that are sort of, you know, they can be modernized and quite contemporary, but like the pub that I have in mind that goes with the cottage is like, you know, it's filled with sofas and armchairs around little tiny tables. And you go and you have a conversation. It's like a first date kind of place. Let's go to the pub for a drink. You know, that kind of thing. And it's, you know, the atmosphere is lower, and they put music on a night, but it's not like you have to yell to be heard. And it's just a sort of closer, more intimate atmosphere. It's funny, when I wrote the meeting fic, the place I had in mind when I was writing it, the place I see in my head is a bar I used to go to with my friends when I was younger. So when I'm writing down like the dance floor and queuing at the bar, I'm seeing that place in my head. And in the story, I sort of guide Sam and the reader to go to a quieter part of the bar to talk. And in my head, I know exactly which part of this real life bar that I'm taking him to. So in my head, I feel like the bar's here and the dance floor's next to it, and here's where the DJ is. And then like all the way over there by the front doors, like the whole other side of the place, it's quieter over there, and you can go there and you can have a conversation. So I don't know, like maybe you imagine it like a bar that's local to you, but that's how I've always imagined that space. And I took a little bit of artistic license with the seating arrangements that aren't actually in the real life place.
Gotcha.
Just to you know, make some stuff happen in the bar. That's reasonably, I don't know, mature. It gets a lot filthier when you get down to it, but it stays mature in public. Stay mature in public. But yeah, by the time we got up to that kind of thing, like the English cottage was that was like a thing. You know, that was like me trying to sit down and work out timelines and things like that, and where, because I'd established a few fics earlier that it wasn't completely AU, but it wasn't completely canon either. So it was like I'd brought Dean into it by that point, just to be like, these are the things that happened, these are the reasons why Sam and Rita moved from America to England. Obviously they met in America. And I'd brought Dean into it, and it was like an actual living thing I'd made then. And then following on from that is our collab, actually.
Okay.
The next thing that goes up there is the Christmas fic that I wrote of 2021, which was unbelievably difficult because nobody would behave and everybody was having drama all over the place. I sat down to write that. And it was going to be this really, really nice. They were going to go Christmas tree shopping, decorations, and it was going to be nice. We were going to have a nice fic. And then what happened was Sam threw a bitch fit all over the place. We had to explore some Winchester feelings, which was not what I signed up for at all. But at that point, I think I'd frantically messaged you guys quite a few fics before, going, guys, I'm trying to write something, and they won't do as they're told. How do I make them do?
Yes. That's always the struggle, isn't it? When your characters decide to do something completely different. Like, no, that was not in the script. That was not what I decided.
Honestly, I had this whole idea, and I was like, I think I had it in my head that maybe Sam was like anti-Christmas, because that's shown in the show. They don't really care. They've had a couple of Christmas episodes, but it's shown in the show that they're kind of like, don't really care. So I think I'd had Sam, not really being bothered, but then in my mind he was going to get swept up in the enthusiasm, and it was going to be nice. And then what happened was not that. What happened was not that at all. So that was like a real slog to get through. And then I had like a couple of other chapters, and I started out writing that I was going to have Dean actually appear properly in that fic, because he'd appeared before, but it was in like a flashback,
right?
And it was kind of brief. And again, I remember messaging you guys like, I have to write Dean, and I'm so stressed about it. Does anyone want to come in and write a Dean chapter for me because I don't know how to Dean, because I'd only written Sam stuff up to that point. And Dean was like this big scary horrible thing to try and write. And I just remember pleading with you guys like, please someone come in and write a Dean chapter for me, God please. So that was you bravely stepped up to the mark there, and you were like, yep, no, that's fine, I'll come and write a Dean chapter for you.
Yeah, I wish I'd done more with that. But again, like I think we were, it was kind of one of those things. I did that part and then I had an idea and I was gonna like stick it in there again, but I was like, no, we're just gonna let that be. We'll just let that be.
It had taken it really, because obviously I was like naively, I was like, I will write this Christmas fic over December and that will be fine. And then what happened was life went, you're a mum of two. No, it won't. So I was like, really trying to like desperately find some time to explore the ideas that I wanted to explore with that. And, really like take it, like my whole goal with that was, what if we gave the Winchester brothers a proper Christmas? And I was very much from the start, I wanted Dean to be a part of that. And I really wanted it to be like a real, what I would consider to be an authentic Christmas experience. So I'd kind of like established before that it wasn't canon, and the brothers, like maybe Dean's hunting because Dean's still in America in the sort of in the universe. So maybe he's hunting, but Sam isn't.
Yeah,
Sam's a lecturer, and Sam wasn't hunting when Reader met him as well. So it was like I had alluded to like maybe Sam had seen some stuff when he was younger, like John was probably a hunter still, and he knew what went bump in the night basically. But when he went to Stanford, there was no Dean that came and got him from Stanford and pulled him back into the life. He'd gone, he'd graduated, he'd made a life for himself, he'd met the female lead, and then Dean showed up a little bit after that, after they'd moved in together, and was like, hi, Dad's missing, we need to go and find him. And it was sort of during that they made the decision that they were gonna, once they'd found John, they were gonna come back to the female lead's country and really set up shop and settle down.
I love that you did that for Sam. That was great.
Yeah. I just want to wrap him up in cotton wool. He's just a baby. And everyone's always mean to him as well. You always notice, like, if you're reading like usually anything with a plot, like one shots tend to just be and then they boned. And that's it. There just tends to be a lot of lead up to that. But if you're reading anything with a plot that's Dean centric, Sam is either completely in absentia, or they're just mean to him. They just put him through all the mean things, and I'm like, no, this baby needs to be looked after. He needs a fire and a dog and a countryside. No. So I went into the Christmas fic just like, I'm gonna give them like a proper Christmas, and it's gonna be great. And I'd built up in my head that it was gonna end with this beautiful Christmas day, and it was gonna be really nice. And that wasn't what happened. It's still nice, but I was writing that after Christmas, so all my Christmas feelings were done. And I was like, I'm so sick of writing Christmas now. I hate this so much.
Do you think you'd go back and do anything to it? Like add anything to that? Or do you think it's pretty much done? Like, are there any parts you'd fill in Step Into Christmas?
No, I think I'd probably leave it how it stands. Because I did the things that I wanted to do. Like I wanted the brothers to have a Christmas morning, where they get up and there's presents under the tree for them. And it's nice. And I'd done that. And then I'd put in like just sort of a little bit of Dean kind of passing the torch onto Sam a little bit with a gift, which was just kind of something and nothing, just like, oh yeah, maybe. And then I wrote it, and it was like Dean's got a toolbox and fully stocked it, and he's giving it to Sam because he's the man of the house now, and he needs to have the gear to fix things if it goes wrong. And I it was meant to be something and nothing when I started writing it, but then the Winchesters don't do as they're told. So then it became a thing, you know?
Yeah.
But I'd done everything that I wanted. I'd given them that Christmas morning. I'd given them, like a Christmas meal that I wanted. And I'd probably, drawing on my own experience with Christmas, which is like by the time the afternoon comes around, everyone's full, everyone's tired, you have a nap.
It's all that build up, right? It's like all that work for like, that day, and then you get to experience it, and it feels like, unless you really have time to take it in, it kind of goes, and then it's it's like, okay, now I'm full and stuffed and got to clean up.
Yeah. Well, I'd left that with them sort of having dinner and going through to the living room and, throwing on the TV and just kind of like napping on the sofa, give them. And I ended up leaving it there because I'd made this really, in my mind, this sort of like photograph of the Winchesters, and they're wearing silly Christmas jumpers and they're stuffed full and they feel safe and loved. And that was the big thing. That was what I wanted. I had my lead talk all that through with Sam in previous chapters, that I wanted them to feel safe. I wanted them to feel like a part of a family that they probably didn't have with John. And so I just wanted it to be safe. And in my mind, I can see them. They're all sat on the sofa, and like Dean's like fully granddad head back, snoring his little head off. Yeah. And maybe my readers are like tucked herself into Sam a little bit, and he's got his arm around her, and there's fires in the background, and like the TV is on, and it's playing like a movie, because bank holidays over here just have a lot of movies on the TV.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't know why. Just apparently everybody wants to watch, like, it's usually a Disney movie early in the morning as well. But
so what's your placement of them on the sofa? Like, how would you have them? Is Sam in the middle? And Reader's in the middle?
Reader's in the middle.
Gotcha.
Reader's in the middle. So in my mind, the fireplace is obviously on the wall, and then the sofa's like not parallel. The side of the sofa is opposite the fireplace. Okay. But it's like set back a bit. It's not directly in front of the fireplace, but it's set back a bit. And then like in front of the sofa, like on the wall or on a TV stand, that's where the TV is. So in my mind, Dean's on the side of the sofa closest to the fireplace.
Okay.
And he'd thrown away his Christmas hat in the story. He adamantly refused to wear it. So he's just Dean, but like he's maybe not done his hair that day. So, or he's not done it to the precision that it's done in the show. 30 minutes. Yeah, he's not. Maybe he's just like, he showered that morning and he's just like thrown a bit of gel through it.
Little tasseled. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
And he's got his nice Christmas jumper on, but he's still wearing sweats because food. In my house, like nobody wears jeans on Christmas. That's not what we do. We're not here for that. So he's like, and he's there. He's got his little bare feet, and he's just like sort of kicked back on the sofa with his legs stretched out, like one ankle over the other. Okay. And then he's like, I don't know necessarily if you have any memories of this. I've just seen like your dad or your granddad fall asleep, and then they go, I'm definitely not sleeping. But they sort of like leaned back in the chair and they've tipped their head back, and their mouth's fallen open a little bit. Yes. And then when you go, Dad, and they go, which dad wasn't sleeping? Shut up. In my mind, he looks like that. So he's just like tipped his head back and he's just maybe snoring just a little bit. Just a little bit. But he's, like hands on his stomach, legs stretched out, ankles crossed, head tipped back. So he's on one side. And then I've got Sam on the other side. So he's got the other arm of the sofa. And he's resting his head on his hand. And he's asleep, but he's resting his head on his hand. And he's like, maybe got his feet pulled in, they're not stretched out. And he's just like nodded off into his hand. And then Reader's in the middle. And Sam's wearing, obviously, his lovely festive jumper. And sweats. And probably bare feet. I don't have a foot thing, but I just don't see them in socks that often. They just tend to, I don't know, they just wear shoes all the time. I don't know what they do. but I don't wear socks around my house, so the Winchesters in my stories don't wear socks in their house either.
Okay.
And then Rita's in the middle, and she's still wearing like her nice little Mrs. Claus dress that she's bought, and she's tightless because she was going to wear tights, but then Sam had
they had some fun times. Yeah.
Sam had some opinions on that. So she's just wearing her little like Mrs. Claus dress, and her hat's like she's maybe taking it off, or it's like off kilter a little bit. Sam's still wearing his though, because I like the idea of him in a Santa hat. It makes me happy. Sam's still wearing his, and she's like leaned herself into Sam's side, like with her head on his shoulder, and like pulled her legs up onto the sofa.
Okay.
Just like tucked underneath her, and he's just put his arm around her shoulder and like pulled her in a little bit. So she's napping on his chest. Sam's on his arm. Dean's granddad in it. Yeah. On the end of the sofa. And that's the photograph I have in my mind of them. And I don't know what's playing on the TV. Maybe it's A Christmas Story. Maybe it's, because we have the movies, and then we have more movies in the afternoon, and then you tend to have the Christmas episodes of the soaps that play. So like EastEnders, Coronation Street, and Emmerdale all have Christmas episodes that play on Christmas Day, and then after that, you usually get Die Hard, and you usually get a Bond film as well. So I don't know. It's like late afternoon. Maybe the Queen's talking, because she comes and has a chat with us on Christmas Day as well. Okay. For 10 minutes at 3:00 on the nose. And
I'd love to see Dean's reaction.
Yeah. Do you know what? Maybe if I ever went back, because she comes on at 3. And it's on the nose. And I know this because I have family members that watched her. And the whole world had to stop at like 5 to 2 because you had to find the telly remote, as it's buried under all the crap that you've got going on. Put the telly on, put it to the right channel, show up the Queen's on. But she gets a repeat at 5. She gets another go at 5. So if I went back, I would maybe write Dean waking up to the TV, and it's old Liz, and she doesn't wear her crown, but she has like nice old lady clothes on, and she's usually sitting at a desk. Okay. And then in the background there's like a fire and a Christmas tree, and it's all unbelievably decadent and disgusting. Right. And then she talks for like 10 minutes about the year and what kind of year we've had and how we've overcome our struggles, because there's always a struggle because we're a dreadful nation. And she wishes us all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and tells how we should befriend our neighbors and stuff. And it's like a little bit religious, but not hugely. Okay. And yeah, it's just like a little 10-minute thing, but I can just imagine him like sitting up from his granddad nap, and there's this old lady on the TV talking to him, and he has no idea who she is or what is happening, and just being like, Sam, what is this? And trying to like smack Sam in the face to wake him up without disturbing Rita. And her opening her eyes and going, it's the Queen. And just going back to sleep. And then I have this image of him just watching enraptured, just being like, oh my God. Yeah, if I was going to go back, I'd maybe write that scene in. So absolutely. And if you do come and check me out, or you come and check Sandra out, we currently both have a fic on our profiles called I Winchester Clone Manual. Okay, so this is another collab we've done with our very dear friend Dee. And please hit us up with any ideas of what you would do if you had a clone of Sam or Dean. Or Jared or Jensen. Me and Sandra sort of focused on Dean, I focused on Sam, obviously. Dee she's still milling around thinking about what she might want to do. But if you have any ideas at all, please go and read our manual. Firstly, because it's hilarious. Like, Sandra worked really freaking hard on it. I came in with a few ideas, but she was like, I've made this and I've made artwork and it's fab and I've formatted it all. It's great. Honestly, if you don't walk away laughing, you might be the problem. I'm sorry. It might be you guys. But seriously, come find us on Twitter and just be like, hey, I would do this with a clone or that with a clone. Tell us what you do. It can be totally safe for work. It can be totally filthy. We need ideas, guys.
Yeah, because the well does run dry. I mean, like after a while, you're like, well, what can I still do? Like my whole thought process about one thing, I'm now thinking I want to switch it up to something else because it seems like I don't know. So I've got like a work in mind, but it's hard. It's hard, people. It's hard, y'all. It's hard to write.
It is. If you look through my profile, you'll see a bit of a shift from Sam Winchester stuff towards Dean Winchester stuff.
Not highly because recommended.
Not because I don't love Sam Winchester anymore, just because there were some Dean things. You know what kicked it all off? Y'all remember that photo of Jensen when he was growing out his hair and his beard for Soldier Boy? Like this is like months ago. Because obviously they're done with filming now, so months and months and months ago. And he's it's like a kind of a blurry shot, and he's like, I think he's standing next to Daniil, but he's standing there and he's in like a sleeveless tank top, and he just looks really menacing. He's got like the really big Soldier Boy beard.
He's behind her, right? I think it's like when she was like, it's something about like her hair, like she was talking about. I think
so. Yeah.
Somebody, and he was just he was there was a presence there.
Yeah. And then you see what happened was, guys, I saw that picture, and obviously Jensen had like Sam length hair at the time. Now, when I see Sam's hair, I'm like, oh, I want to brush it. I want to look after it. Oh, baby. And when I see Jensen's long hair, I'm like, I want to put him on his fucking knees. So that is what I did. So yeah, you will definitely see a shift from Sam to Dean stuff, and the Dean stuff is a bit heavier. My Sam stuff tends to be quite fluffy, apart from the last thing I posted. Yeah, that was quite heavy too. But yeah, so
all great, all stellar stuff. I mean, I love it when I see that I'm like, oh, I got to get myself in a good spot to read this. Like it's like bedtime stuff, and like just because
I do that
I'm
with
like,
license. Oh. I open it immediately, because if I don't open the email, like click the link in the email immediately, I will forget, and it will just sit in my emails, and then you'll post again, and I'll be like, oh, 3 chapters behind, what the hell? And then I have to go and comment on every chapter, obviously, and be like, I'm a terrible friend, I'm sorry. But no, I do. I open up license, which is Sandra's current work in progress, and then like I save it and I get comfy in bed, and then I wait for my husband to fall asleep because he falls asleep before me, and then I'm like, it's time. And then I'll sit and I'll read. And I used to do the same. With Dee, and it used to drive him mad because I'd just be there like reading, and then suddenly I'd sit up and put the light on because I have to think about what I'm going to write in this comment. And he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Shh, got to comment and stuff." Shh. So yeah, I do exactly the same. But yeah, if you come to my profile, if you come check me out, you will see that shift. I'm not done with Sam or anything like that. Just Jensen grew his hair out, guys. I am only a human mortal. I'm not strong enough, guys. I am not strong enough to resist the call. And like I said, Sam with long hair, Jared with long hair, inspires really soft, fluffy feelings in me. And Jensen with long hair makes me want to put him on his knees and tell him what to do.
Pull it.
that is literally, I see, like in my head, I react with Sam hair and I'm like, just brush it gently off his forehead, and I react with Jensen's by like driving my fingers into it and making a fist. And then he goes on his knees and he does as he's fucking told.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, the Dean fics are quite a bit heavier than the Sam stuff.
Yeah.
But don't worry.
We will talk about those too.
Yeah. I'm still going to be the token Sam girl because somebody needs to balance out all the Dean.
You do. There's a lot in it. There's a lot. I do feel bad. I'm like, I gotta throw some Sam in there because when we get going and it's just Dean, Jensen, Dean. I'm like,
don't worry. I'll come and I'll co-host and I'll balance it out with some Jared and some Sam, and come and make some balance, and then we'll get Dee on board, and she's a both girl.
Yes.
So she just comes and fights with us.
Just nice and linear. So then we'll have all the different parts, like whichever one you need. That's where you can go.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about fighting you for Jared or Sam. You and Dee have
I will fight her. It's fine. So I'll fight. It's fine. She's mean to him. She wrote that fic and it was mean.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the wand, this was interesting when I read this one. So
yeah, tell me what you thought about it, because when I posted it, you were like, the pictures have scared me.
I think
I have not read this.
It was really just that one picture that I think initially I was like, honestly, Karlee, I feel so like naive about things. I was like, what the hell is that? So can you please, if somebody does like come across this, can you explain what exactly is going on in the picture? Just so like I see there's a wand. Is
right,
that what
so
is that what
picture,
that is?
In that picture is not representative of what is actually happening in the fic.
Right.
So if you're looking at the picture right now, I am looking at the picture right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that particular picture is a male in a chastity device.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah. And the black thing is the wand. It's just like they're marketed as massagers, but that's not what they're for.
I mean, I guess the whole thing was like getting him to beg part was very I enjoyed that a lot.
Can you see why I picked this one? Why I was like, oh yeah, no, that's the one.
Because I think that's a lot of what in terms of like experiences and things that you write about. You know, I think you like to explore a lot of that in terms of Sam, and I'm assuming it's because of just, you know, Sam being, I don't know if you would say pent up, or, you know, just always having to maybe play a certain role, you know, like in life anyway, and then being able to show more of himself when he's alone. And again, I think we always come back to this, but like feeling safe with someone that you can explore that side of yourself. No, I thought it was great. And how she's kind of assisting him in getting to that point, like in how she's saying things to kind of, you know, get him to just kind of let go, and the whole thing of like, you know, how you feel and all of that. That was it was good. I liked it. It's not something I would normally read probably. I mean, I've tried, and again, like even with Dean, there's certain things where there's one really, I can't say it's horrible, but it's like it's nothing I ever thought I would like get so turned on by. And I'll save that for another one. But and I've mentioned it to you, and we've I think talked about it a little bit, but it's that letting go, feeling like I can get, not used, is used the right word? I don't know, like being used for pleasure, you know what I mean? And it being a safe place for that, like not a power thing, but like you're giving yourself permission, and you're with someone who will take care of you in that role, you know what I mean? Like I think that's important. But yeah, no, I liked it, but I want to hear more about, like, was this one of the first ones you've ever read from Winchester Wife, or was this just like another one in a slew of Winchester Wife?
I think this might have been one of the first I read from Winchester Wife, because I'm assuming it's a she, but they have written like a BDSM kink Sam Reader one that's about 6 parts long now.
Okay.
And I haven't finished it all, but I highly recommend it. But I'm pretty sure the wand was like the first one. I don't even think I realized it was by the same author until I like went back and was looking for fics to bring to the podcast. But this one is just, the reason this one sticks for me, and it's, you know, it's in my bookmarks on AO3 and everything, is just, it's the whole notion of getting him to be vocal that I really, really like. And it's something that I put in my own works as well. You know, like sort of dirty talk through sex, you know, that kind of thing. I just think it's just one of those things I really enjoy. And I really like seeing what people do with it as a concept.
Right.
You know, and again, for this one, like the whole idea of, like you say, sort of pushing him to let go. And it's not even so much the begging, you know, because that, like, we talked about this the other day. This is not begging. That's just sex talk. That's not the same thing.
Yeah.
At all. I'm still mad about it. But yeah, it's not even the begging. It's just the whole, like, you know, sort of taking a bit of charge and just sort of, it's the power reversal, I think. You know, he's this huge guy and you've reduced him to this begging mess.
Yeah.
That I'm, you know, kind of really into.
I think that's a big thing about him too, just in terms of like his stature. And I mean, I've seen this with other guys that are really tall, at least from, you know, some experience of like being around some guys really like to turn invisible almost in a way because they're so massive and they take up so much space. It's almost like they don't want to make a lot of noise, or they don't want to, like, they're already infringing on the physical, that I think they know that if they also, you know, add the speaking and the other stuff, they kind of pull back. I know a couple guys like that, like really like big dudes who are very soft spoken. And I think that becomes like that thing that they do so they don't feel imposing to people.
I mean, my hubs himself, he's 6'2". You know, he's really quite tall, and you know, he's not huge. Like he's not built or anything. He's just tall. But he's quite soft spoken, and you know, he doesn't, like, almost shrinks himself in a little bit when he's talking to people. Again, for the self-same reasons, because like I've heard that man yell. It's there, you know, but he like kind of pulls himself in a little bit to not seem so imposing to other people.
Yeah.
And I just think, I don't know, there's just something about sort of taking a person like that and, you know, either sort of pushing them to stand tall or, you know, taking that to the nth degree and making them beg. I'm just really into.
I agree though about the talking part of it. Like, I mean, I just know from like Dean, like I think I almost feel like it's more torture, like if I couldn't hear him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like during it, it's like I think I would need that so much, because that's such a part of him is his voice and what he does with it, and how he can just turn a phrase or just something, and like the tone and, you know, the grumble or, you know, whatever. Like, I just think that's to me anyway, I know for me personally, that's a big part of being intimate with someone, is that part of it. So if he couldn't speak, which, you know, I think, I don't know if it's please or another one. I think that he can't talk a lot, in one of them. And it feels like so torturous, I think, in a way for him. So that's like kind of, I totally would need the feedback almost, I guess.
It's a connection thing, isn't it? It's an intimacy, it's a connection thing. And I think if you're working with someone who's got the kind of voice that Jared has or that Jensen has, it's a crime not to use that. You know, if you've already got your reader imagining Sam or Dean in this situation, make them imagine the voice. You know, it's a whole sensation that you're missing out on if you don't do that. So it's, you know, it's something I always try to bring to my works, and this is one of my favorite works that kind of also goes with that. You know, and it's just, I don't know, it just ticks all the right boxes for me, this one. It really does. And, you know, the kind of, when you get to the end and he just like clears the table and like throws you down.
It's his turn.
It's his turn, and I'm just, and
then you get to think about all like what that's gonna entail. And I like that it's like, okay, this is this bit, and then, you know, you can imagine the rest of it.
Absolutely.
See, again, like that's where I would be like, I would have to tell myself, no, it's okay, you can stop now.
But you just keep writing the whole interaction.
Well, that's the one thing I did. So at the end of, because this kind of reminds me of like, it was more like playful, but like the Jules and Jingle Bells one, where, you know, Julie reps ties Dean up. And she uses like those Christmas sleigh bells. And it was like, I got it up until that point, and then I was like, no, you guys just have to figure this one out. We'll just let you guys figure this part out, because I don't think I would do it that well, but I wanted to at least get people going with, okay, this is where it's going, and it's probably going to go into some fun territory, but I wasn't ready. But I was just like, I'm just going to stop it now, because I think that was the one where I was Julie and Dean were, they were like sparring in the basement or whatever, and you were like, he was choking her and you were like, or she was choking him, and you were like, I remember you made a comment like, I was so there for that was such a good thing. I'm gonna have to go find it's not a lot, it's just like a little bit, but I remember you commenting on that and being like, oh god, yeah, there's choking.
Yeah, I'm a fiend. I'm a fiend. You know what I'm like. Yeah, I do remember that though.
So yeah, it was. I do like I like reading different things, and I wouldn't be reading as much Sam stuff now if it wasn't for you, giving me things to read about. So I'm definitely in for more of this. But yeah, this is like, again, the picture was like, I don't know what's going on. But I figured out with the tag, but then I was like, there's something else that's going on here, and I don't think this is related.
Yeah, it's the picture doesn't marry up with what's actually happening in the scene, but I imagine it's the closest that the author could find, because it's like doing using a sleeve like that is a whole different ball game to putting a guy in chastity. Like it's not even in the same ballpark. I mean,
I'm assuming in that regard too, like it's still so submissive that you're probably, there's just that, maybe that's where the begging, would come into play more for something like that. But again, I don't know. I guess it just depends.
See, I didn't get the vibe from this one that the author wanted Sam to be particularly submissive. They just
wanted him to let go. Yeah.
They just wanted to push him till he let go. And it's it's a whole, it's I'm not saying it's not something I'm going to explore with Sam or Dean, but it's a whole different ball game to what this particular author.
This was a good one. I really, I know we'll talk about a few more there was the Wincest one with the reader, Every Inch of My Love. Oh my god, that was like amazing. So we have to talk about that at some point too. That's
a good one.
That's a great one too. So no, this is definitely, if you are into making Sam get the most out of his experience, then I think this is a read that you won't be disappointed in.
I picked this one to go along with this episode because I was like, if there's going to be a recommendation that goes along with an episode where you're getting to know me as a person, as a writer, I was like, it's got a bit of kink in it. It's got Sam in it, which was always crucial.
Yes.
It's like, I can't be like, I'm the resident Sam girl. Here's a Dean fic. Yeah. But I was like, it's got a bit of kink in it. It's got a bit of, vocal Sam in it, stuff like that. And I was like, it's kind of fairly well-rounded.
Yeah.
It hits a lot of the same notes that I like my work to hit as well. So I figured it was, if you're going to read something that was, maybe inspired me a little bit, this would probably be a good one to start with.
No, I think that fits really well in getting to know Karlee. If you're interested in reaching out, finding out more about us, or learning more about what we plan on doing with the podcast, you can email us at idlingintheimpala@gmail.com. We also have a Twitter account. Our Twitter handle is idling in the letter D, Impala. And then in terms of reaching out to me, I have some works on AO3. My username is Drasna. On Twitter, you can find me at skyle, Kyle, writes, WRITES, not writes like a ceremony. And also my website for some of my original fiction is at sandrakyle.com.
I keep a solid theme. I'm all in one place. I usually have the same profile picture on all the places as well. So if you want to find me on AO3, read anything I've done, you can find me at Karlee Karma. However you think that's spelled, I guarantee you it's not. So that's K for Kilo, A for Alpha, R for Romeo, L for Lima, E for Echo, E for Echo, and then Karma as you would spell it normally. See, I told you it wasn't how you thought it was. And I'm exactly the same on Twitter, Karlee Karma. It's the same profile picture for both sites as well, just in case you think, hey, I wonder if I found two people with a weird name. It's not. If it's the same profile picture, it's me. So that's where I'm at. So messages on Twitter, send us an email. You want to reach out to either of us personally, that's where you can find us.
Yeah, and we look forward to catching up with you again soon. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for listening, guys. Uh-oh.
What?
I just got a text from Dean. It just says car now.
Oh no. Busted.
Yeah, we got to get baby back in the garage before Dean has a panic attack again. I can't cope with another, somebody stole my car.
Well, thanks for coming along for the ride. It was great catching up, and hopefully we can sneak out again soon and not cause Dean to have major palpitations in the process.
Yeah, ideally not. You know how he gets. It was really great catching up, though. We hope to see you again soon.
Bye.